For many of you, this might be an easy question because you have no problem with how f of x works, function notation, but let's use this as an opportunity to reteach that for those of you who struggle. Basically, just notice that f of x is where we would normally see a y. And that's all it is it's just another way of talking about x, y coordinates. So we have to be able to understand whether they're giving us x or they're giving us y in most cases. I hope you can kind of see this as just like a substitution, right? First of all, when they say f of x equals 58, it's f of x is how we say it. It's not f times x. F is not a variable. It's not like we could put a number in for f. F is the name of the equation, basically. Call it Frank if you want. It doesn't matter. It's the name of the equation. So when they say f of x is equal to 58, they're telling us that that y coordinate is 58. So we can substitute that in, and then that means we don't have the x. And notice, we also don't have the x here, right? There's no x value. So we just now do some normal algebra, and we solve by subtracting 8 from both sides. Started off, doing the addition subtraction, so that goes away, and that's 50 is equal to 5x, and then we divide both sides by 5, and we get x is equal to 10, and there's our answer. Done. That is probably the most straightforward way to do it. But we could also guess and check here, and I do want to talk about it because sometimes this will be more efficient, and because if you are bothered by the function notation, it's usually easier to have your x. So if we were to, first of all, they tell us that these are the x's, right? So that's another way you shouldn't be confused about where to plug things in. But what you could do is write it like this. For choice A, if we were just like randomly testing it, f of 10 is how we would say, okay, if x were 10, we'd say f of 10 is equal to 5, and then we would substitute that 10 for all the x's in the equation. In this case, there's just 1, but there you go. So now I would kind of continue to solve. I know I'm kind of bleeding down to the other choices here, but 5 times 10 is 50 plus 8. So f of 10 is 58, which is checking what we did, right? So that's what they gave us, this is kind of the same thing. So that would be proof that A is right. And just to be really clear about what's happening and how function notation works, when we say that f of 10 is equal to 58, this is the same exact thing as saying the point 1058 is on the line. So notice, x, y, it's corresponding, right? So the x obviously corresponds with x. That's not going to change. Sometimes they might use a different variable, but if it's n or t or whatever, it's still kind of like our x coordinate. And then f of x is what we're kind of saying, g of x, whatever the letters may be, that's going to be our representation of y. And so we need to be able to, on the SAT, understand that a lot of the time when they're using function notation, it's just a way of telling us points. And since our main math strategy is plug points into equations, we need to be able to recognize that we're being given points. In this case, it's half of a point, and we solve for the other half, but it ends up kind of working the same way, right? What did we do to start? We plugged the 58 in for the part of the point that we had, right? So this is a combination of plug points into equations or guess and check, depending on how you want to think of it. But regardless, we really need to become comfortable with function notation. If you are not comfortable with it, you've got to go to Khan Academy, watch my videos, practice it. It's something that you need comfort with because it's going to come up in a lot of questions, and it truly does not add difficulty to the question. The only reason people think that is they don't fully understand it, but it's just XY coordinates written another way.